Hey friends, we're off here again with the Louisville ProActivist report. I know it's been a while, but here we are, campaign season, and very excited for this interview. I have the most anti-war candidate in the country on my show. He's been on before, you know him. Goes well all the way back to my second show when he was a guest, and he's been on a few times since then in one capacity or another. But my guest today is Geoff Young, and I'll be bringing him on camera here. Give me one moment to do the flip. It's not letting me do the flip. Bear with me here. Love technical difficulties. There we go. All right. There's Geoff. Thanks for joining me here today, Geoff. How are you doing?
Fine, thank you, Rolf.
All right. So you've got another run coming up, and you're running for the 6th District for U.S. Congress. 6th District is Lexington, and what else? What all is in the 6th District, as a matter of fact?
Well, it's 14 full counties and 2 half counties. So it's Fayette County and north and east and south and east, heading toward the mountains.
Okay.
Foothills.
You're running against Andy Barr, right? Long-time incumbent.
That's right.
Yeah, and we need to get this guy out of here. He's not doing anything for the people, and that's being kind. But we're not here to talk about Andy today. We're here to talk about you. Looking at your website, you've got a great list of policies. Very impressed by that. Of course, that's to be expected from you. I know what kind of guy you are. But before we get into those, as people that watch know, anytime I get somebody running for federal office, I'm going to ask this question just based on what we've seen from some other candidates who were elected, kind of got in office and didn't really hold their word. So with you, Geoff, why do you think, or how or why do you think you'll be able to stand up to the Democratic Party as elected and be able to enact your policies and what you want to do?
Well, the short answer is I don't owe them anything. I started running for various offices in 2012, first run. I was a Green at the time, Kentucky, Fayette County. I was running for the Kentucky House against an entrenched far right-wing Christian fundamentalist Republican, Stan Lee. And the Democrats didn't even run anyone against him. They couldn't find anybody who wanted to run against him. So I was there as a Green, and there was a third person, an independent. And, Stan Lee never acknowledged our existence and coasted to an easy win. So since then, I've been running for the U.S. House in the 6th District against Andy Barr. He's been there since January of 2013. I ran in 2014, 2016, 2018, 2020 as a Republican, and this year back to my lifelong party as a Democrat. Never gotten any help at all from the establishment Democratic Party in Frankfort or my county party in Fayette. Never gotten any support. In fact, I've gotten a lot of grief from the KDP over the years from 2014 until today. So, and if I were going to sell out, I wouldn't even be doing this. I wouldn't be running for office, just to get in there and go back on everything I've said for the last 45 years. I would be doing something else. I retired from state government in the state energy office in Frankfurt, and I became a political activist around 2005, and I wouldn't be running for office if I was just going to be a typical politician.
And just knowing you like I do, I definitely believe you. And I tell people that. I said we need more people like Geoff Young who will get in there and we'll stand up and we'll try to do what he's running on. Because we just don't have enough of that. So thank you for those that just joined. I'm here in Lexington at 3rd Street Stuff. Shout out to them for letting us do this interview here. It's a great, eclectic little place. If you don't know about it, come check it out. If you want to know more about Geoff, he's been on the show before, multiple videos. Check those out, YouTube or Facebook. But we're going to dive right into the policies here and what Geoff is running for. So let's dig in. As you can tell by the title here, I say Geoff Young is the most anti-war candidate in the country, and I believe that. So let's dig into that. Talk about being anti-war, what exactly you mean by that, and what you would do with that if elected.
All right. Well, thanks, Rolf. I always say, my name is Geoff Young. I'm the Democratic nominee for the 6th District and 6th Congressional District. And unlike Andy Barr, I will never vote to send weapons to Nazis. Been saying that since the beginning of the primary season. And what I mean is the United States has been sending weapons and money to groups of Nazis, militias in Ukraine for the last 8 years. And the mainstream media has reported on it. Every so often, the USA Today or New York Times will come out and say, hey, there are these Nazi militias there in Ukraine. Maybe we should look at this. Maybe we shouldn't be sending weapons to them. Be careful, you Congress people. And so Andy Barr has known about it for 8 years, and every time he votes to send them weapons, and he can't claim he never knew. It's on one of my postcards there. I've got a montage of reports here from the mainstream media. Can y'all see that?
Let me bring it up.
Yeah. Okay. These are mainstream media reports, and it is undeniable that the U.S. government has been arming Nazis, heavy weapons, deadly weapons, for 8 years. So yeah, I'm not going to vote to send weapons to Nazis. I've been an anti-war activist part-time since 1976 or 77, 45 years ago, when I took two classes in political science from Noam Chomsky at MIT, and learned about U.S. foreign policy after World War II. And knowing that, I've been against every American war since then. Every use of force has been unnecessary and illegal, starting with Korea, 1950 to 1953. That was a genocide. So I've been strongly anti-war ever since then.
That's good, and seems like this country has kind of lost the anti-war movement. So it's definitely not in Congress anywhere that I can see. Anywhere.
Yeah, that's a real tragedy.
So yeah, hopefully you can be the one to spur the movement again.
That's what I'm hoping to do. I think the Republican Party is hopeless. They will always be servants of the billionaires, the empire, imperialism. They're always for war. I think the Democrats temporarily have lost their way, for the last couple decades. But we were an anti-war party from about 1968 to about 1973, about 5 years there. In the 60s, early 70s, the Democrats were somewhat anti-war. So that proves that it can happen. It's possible. And my goal, my reason for running for office as a Democrat is to make that happen again.
That's awesome. So let's talk about a couple related issues that go with that. I know you talking about you're wanting to end economic sanctions worldwide, and you know that economic sanctions are basically an economic form of warfare. So talk about that a little bit.
Well, you're completely right about that. They're illegal. Even a country as powerful as the United States is not allowed to impose sanctions on, say, Russia or Iran or Venezuela or Cuba. It's illegal. The only entity that has the legal right to impose an economic warfare or blockade or sanctions, whatever you want to call it, is the UN Security Council. And for obvious reasons, the United States never takes these sanctions to the UN Security Council because they know that China and Russia would veto it. So all of our sanctions today are illegal. Andy Barr, my opponent, couldn't care less. He doesn't care if we violate international law every day. He doesn't care if we starve the people of Yemen, people of Syria, people of Venezuela, people of Cuba. He doesn't care how many children die of starvation because of our illegal sanctions. But I care about that. I care about the reputation of the United States in the world. And right now, our reputation is in the toilet.
And you know, just to say real quick, with economic sanctions, the people that are supposedly targeted by this, the leaders of these countries, are never affected by this. It's the average everyday people that feel the hurt.
That's right. That's how they're designed. I mean, nobody who applies sanctions thinks they're going to harm, Vladimir Putin or or the leaders, Saddam Hussein, when we had sanctions against Iraq in the 1990s. It always harms the poorest people, the children, the poor, anybody without connections to the government. Is just at the mercy of these sanctions. And then that's what they're designed to do. You have American politicians today saying, oh, we need the Russian people to feel the pain so they'll overthrow Putin. And that is ridiculous. Can never work. Vladimir Putin is more popular now than he has ever been. He's got approval ratings in the 80%. Any American president would die to have approval ratings that high. Biden's is in the 30s, I guess. And they harm regular people, and that's why they're illegal. They're basically a form of economic blackmail. And they all boomerang. They all fail. When we try to sanction Russia or China, they're unsanctionable. They're sanctions proof. These all backfire against us. It's like, oh, we're not going to buy any oil from you. And we're going to make our allies not buy any oil or natural gas. And so Russia says, fine, we'll sell it to Asia. We've got plenty of customers for our natural resources. And what happens is the people in Europe are going to freeze this winter. Coming winter, they're going to run out of energy. The price is going to skyrocket, worldwide price of oil, except to countries that are on good terms with Russia. They'll get reasonable prices. They won't freeze in the dark. But Europe will, and soon enough, Americans will too.
All right, so kind of staying with the anti-war subject. I know you're talking about you want to abolish the CIA. Talk about that some more.
Okay. CIA was founded in 1947. From 1947 till today, the CIA has been the worst, largest, most deadly terrorist organization in the entire world. There's no terrorist organization that's any worse than the CIA. It has overthrown dozens of governments, many of them democracies or republics with elected leaders. It has tortured people uh, all over the world, and it just goes around killing people. They were in charge of Obama's drone war, which was also illegal, by the way, but the CIA was running that. It was telling him who to target and who to kill. A couple of U.S. citizens were among the victims. So yeah, the CIA has to go. Oh, they also run drugs. They bring addictive drugs into the United States, and they don't care about who dies because of that. Kentucky has a terrible opioid overdose crisis, and the CIA is mainly to blame for that, bringing in opioids for decades and spreading them through the whole country. So yeah, CIA has to disappear as fast as possible.
Some people don't realize what the CIA is, but all of this is true and it's all documented and can be looked up. So
Yeah,
just for those who don't know.
Look at Covert Action Magazine. Fantastic small group of journalists. They do an excellent job. They started, I think it was 40 years ago, and they have been documenting all of the crimes of the CIA and other terrorist organizations for 40 years. Tremendous resource for accurate information. Covert Action.
Right. And then the last thing I want to talk about with the anti-war real quick is you also talk about abolishing Apricom. And that's something I think most people don't know a whole lot about. So what is Apricom and why would you like to abolish it?
Well, Africom is one of several commands that the Pentagon, the U.S. Defense Department or U.S. War Department, operates all over the world. So that's the one that covers Africa. I think it's the newest one. Maybe the Spacecom is the newest one, but they haven't really gotten going.
We can abolish that too.
We know of, right? So Africa is just one of these commands, and it's a lot of special forces running around, seemingly out of control. Their main purpose is to ensure that the West, the United States and Western Europe, gets to take or buy Africa's natural resources at a low price, regardless of whatever devastation they leave behind. So all of our troops, all of our foreign bases, something like 900 of them, have to be closed, returned to their host countries, and we should get all our troops, all of our weapons back to this country. So AFRICOM is just one of them. It's a continuation of European colonialism in Africa. And all of these have to go. What we're doing, we're running around the world terrorizing people.
All right, so let's switch topics here a little bit. I know you want to get big money out of politics. Why do you think that's important, and what's the best way to go about that?
Okay. Well, our very, very, very senior senator, Mitch Mcconnell, has been devoting his life to enabling corporations, special interests to bribe members of the House and Senate. That's been his life's purpose. He's been largely successful, helped by a couple of Supreme Court decisions. Buckley versus Vallejo, I think that was 1976, and Citizens United, that was 2010. So McConnell and his party have turned Congress into a giant whorehouse, and you can go if you're a billionaire, or if you're a like a DC law firm that represents oil corporations, you can go in there and buy as many Congress people as you want. And what that means is that we can't have Bernie Sanders style reforms. We can't have income equality. We can't have tax reform because they control enough Congress people to stop anything progressive. So campaigns should be publicly funded, like plenty of other countries do. If you meet the qualifications and get on the ballot, you should be given as much airtime as the 20-year incumbent. Incumbents have tremendous advantages, and access to money and free publicity is their biggest advantage. We've got to equalize the playing field. We've got to unelect. We've got to replace a whole lot of these 30-year incumbents. Got to replace Mitch McConnell, Andy Barr, or else our country will just continue to slide into tyranny, economic collapse. We're doomed if we don't get rid of these whores.
All right, so give me your thoughts on the inequality situation that we have, and taxing millionaires, billionaires. Do you think that's the solution? What are your thoughts?
That's a solution. That's critically important. In the 1950s, we had a nice, well-functioning, progressive income tax system where, the first $100,000, it was not taxed very heavily, or the first 50,000. And then in the next, say the next $100,000 was taxed at a higher rate. If everything over $1 million would be taxed even higher, something like 90% tax rate. So, you'd still, if you're a billionaire or something, if you're in some position where you, quote, earn $2 million a year, you'd still take home a good chunk of that. But the last $1 million, you might get only 100,000 of that. That's a progressive income tax. We need to just go back to the 1950s and 60s and have a progressive tax system again, constantly getting worse and worse, And then we should have a wealth tax. There shouldn't be any billionaires. Not that I have anything against them personally, but the problem is, in this country, billionaires control the whole government. They control Congress. They have, 1 million votes in effect because of their money. We have 1 vote, each of us. And so it's not a democracy. It's a plutocracy now, thanks to Mitch McConnell and his friends. And there shouldn't be any billionaires. So we should have a wealth tax. No person should own millions of acres of farmland. We need land reform in this country.
All right, so I'm here with Geoff Young, who is running for Congress in the 6th District of Kentucky. I'm a big supporter of Medicare for all. Where do you stand on Medicare for all?
I strongly support it. I look first at what I think is the gold standard, which is the bill that former Congressman John Conyers from Detroit, Michigan, introduced many times, every 2 years for like 10 years. It's House Resolution or House Bill 676. Um, I think the last time he introduced it, though, was maybe 2018. And then he died in 2019, unfortunately. But it's very simple. It's only 11 pages when you print it out, unlike some other health insurance bills that were 800 pages or so. And basically, it turns our for-profit corporate insurance companies, they have, and hospitals and clinics and all, everything for-profit has to become a nonprofit, like they used to be. Before about, the early 70s, everything was nonprofit in the health field, except for, private physician or whatever, individuals. They were for profit. Then along came these huge corporations like Humana and took over the healthcare system and turned it into a for-profit system. So I want to go back to the improved, expanded Medicare for All bill that John Conyers introduced. I want to reintroduce that and get the corporate sector out of our healthcare system.
All right. I like it. So let's switch gears again. Talk about energy today and the environment. Give us your thoughts on that, and if elected, what would you try to do with those?
Well, my career, professional career in Frankfurt, was in energy efficiency and renewable energy, trying to bring those to Kentucky. The state energy office at that time was funded 80% by the U.S. Department of Energy and only 20% by Frankfurt. And that was our mission, improve energy efficiency and expand the use of renewable energy technologies like solar and hydro in all sectors of Kentucky's economy. So that's energy. Environment, I think that is the area, probably that and abortion are the two areas where the Republican Party in every state and nationwide and the Democratic Party are very different. Democratic Party cares about protecting the environment, not allowing pollution to kill us, putting some limits on industry. And the Republican Party is like, let's unleash our energy corporations. Andy Barr says that. What he means is let's let them remove the tops of the entire Appalachian mountain chain. And they don't care about the environment. They actively work to destroy it. So we Democrats are good on the environment in general. It's economics 101. If you don't make the corporation that is causing pollution, if you don't make them pay for that one way or another and reduce the amount of pollution they're generating, the society will choke. People will start dropping in the street from air pollution and lead poisoning, water pollution. It's essential. You can't have a functioning society without protecting the environment.
That's it. All right. We've got just a couple more topics here as we get towards the end. You just brought up abortion. So let's go ahead and get into that. Give us your thoughts on that.
All right. So in June 24th of 2022, a few weeks ago, the six members of the U.S. Supreme Court decided to overturn the Roe versus Wade Supreme Court decision of 1973. Now, these six, I read the decision. I read the majority positions, and it was pathetic. There was all kinds of legal reasoning, but none of it had any merit. It was all based on an assumption. Now, here's their assumption that they base their whole decision on, that if a state, some state legislature decides to make all abortions illegal, with no exceptions for anything, for rape, incest, for saving the life of the woman, no exceptions. The state does that. It doesn't discriminate against women, according to these six Supremes. Doesn't discriminate against women to make all abortions illegal. All right, so their entire very, very lengthy opinion, if you add them all together, very lengthy, was based on a lie. And so what these six did was they have attacked every woman in America and most of the men by overturning Roe versus Wade, which I consider the best Supreme Court decision in my lifetime, 1973. They've attacked every woman. They have revealed the Republican Party's hatred of women, desire to put them barefoot and pregnant back into the home, and bring charges against them, women and their doctors, if they have a miscarriage. In El Salvador today, there are women in prison who were accused and convicted of having an abortion, who just had a miscarriage, something that happens often. But they couldn't prove their innocence to the Salvadoran courts, and they're in prison now for they had a tragic loss, and they're now in prison just because of that. And that's what the Republicans and the so-called Right to Life movement want to do right here in America. Today, there is a ballot measure on Kentucky's ballot in November, Amendment 2 to the Kentucky Constitution, saying there is no right to an abortion, period. And it's one step closer to turning the United States into El Salvador, making all abortions illegal nationwide with no exceptions whatsoever, even to save the woman's life. So this is one of the issues I feel most strongly about. My solution, I've not heard any other candidate make this proposal. My solution is to impeach the six woman-hating, partisan, Republican political hacks who voted on June 24th to overturn Roe versus Wade. Impeach them. We can keep the three good justices, can have a three-person Supreme Court for a while until we can replace the six crooks. But those six should have their licenses to practice law in any state in the United States revoked. They should lose their law licenses for that immoral, legally baseless opinion they wrote.
All right, so we'll wrap this up with one last topic here. Another important topic. Give us your thoughts on the legalization of cannabis and other drugs, and just the drug war in general. What do you think?
I think the drug war has failed, and we just have to end it. Certainly cannabis should be legalized, treated like alcohol. I mean, if you get high and hit somebody with your car, I mean, you should be prosecuted for that, for driving under the influence and whatever. Treat, but cannabis should definitely be legalized, as some states have already done. Kentucky is behind on that. All drugs should be legalized and get organized crime out of the drug business. Get the CIA out of the illegal smuggling of addictive drugs. Legalizing it, it's been done by Portugal and some other countries. The results have been very positive. The best short resource I can suggest is John Oliver. In the end of March 2022, he did a wonderful, brilliant segment on harm reduction. So you can find that link on my website, Young for Kentucky, or you can just find it, John Oliver, harm reduction. And he points out that allowing addicts to get a measured, pure dose of what they're addicted to in a clinic keeps them off the street, keeps them from buying poison. Fentanyl can kill you, or what they call fentanyl-like stuff with whom you don't know what's in it. And Kentucky has been devastated by drug overdose deaths. So I think the solution is to legalize all drugs and set up these clinics and in addition to giving addicts their dose so they don't go into withdrawal, they provide drug treatment so they can maybe switch to marijuana, which is harmless, and maybe quit altogether. The solution is to end the drug war. Just forget it. Let all those police officers work on white collar crime, or work on something important instead of arresting addicts, throwing them in jail, and they don't end up cured.
So fitting that the sirens kick in. Just
siren. Right? Yeah, that was. They were probably after a drug bust or something.
Somebody with a joint.
Yeah, right.
All hands on deck, So that's pretty. So that's all the topics I wanted to cover with you today. Okay. So I just wanted to give you the opportunity at this point in time to just kind of make your pitch to the voters. Okay. Tell them why they should vote for you, and then finish up by telling people how they can follow your campaign, donate, volunteer, and whatnot.
Okay. Well, unlike Andy Barr, I will never vote to send weapons to Nazis. I will work day and night to try to prevent our country from starting World War III. That is the biggest danger, the biggest crisis we have right now, bigger than anything else. We have members of Congress who insult China every day and accuse them of committing human rights violations, when a little research can show that all of those accusations are false. They're all propaganda. So we have Andy Barr sitting there writing bills punishing China, or trying to, for allegations that are false. When you insult a country, when you insult 1.4 million people every day, you're not working for peace. You're working for World War III. So we need Congress people who are committed to toning down the rhetoric, ending our involvement with the conflict in Ukraine. We're looking at a two-front war. We're already in a proxy war against Russia in Ukraine. We have to get out of there. We have to end that. We can send humanitarian aid to Ukrainian civilians. That's fine. That's a good thing. But we should not be supporting Ukraine's Nazi-dominated government anymore. And on abortion, we need to impeach the 6 political hacks on the Supreme Court. To find my website, it's Young for Kentucky, YOUNG, the number 4, KY.com. I need contributions to print and mail postcards to the voters of the 6th District. And I need people to help spread the word, knock on doors in the 6th District, and help me replace one of the most violent, destructive members of the United States House of Representatives. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Geoff, so much for coming on again and letting everybody know what you're running on and what you're about. Really appreciate you taking the time. So let me get this camera flipped here because they make this so easy. There we go.
You still live?
Still live. Just going to wrap it up here. We've been joined by Geoff Sebest over here, one of the great activists here in Kentucky. Thanks for joining us. So yeah, thanks for watching. Make sure you share this out. Anybody in the 6th District that you know that's going to the polls, let them watch this, make an educated decision on what's on the ballot. We know what Andy Barr is about. He has not been successful. He is not for the people. And I'll just leave it at that and be kind. I think Geoff has the correct platform. I think Geoff has what it takes to stand up for himself with that platform in office, and his heart is in the right place, and a very intelligent man. So if you agree with me, hopefully you will vote for Geoff on election day, which is November
8th.
November the 8th. So yeah, get out, get those polls, get Andy out of there, get Geoff in there, and let's do the right thing.
Vote early. You can, you can send in a written ballot.
Vote early and vote often.
I'm not going to say that.
Yeah. About all that, but yeah, you can vote early or on election day. So yeah, and if you want to know more about Geoff, his website's scrolling underneath here. It's also in the description. Check out my previous interviews with Geoff. You can learn more about him. He's been on the show several times.
Oh, one more thing.
Yes, sir.
October 17th, Monday. Save the date. I'll be on KET unless they cancel on me. 8 o'clock. I don't know if Barr will be there or not, but yeah, 8 o'clock, Monday, October 17th.
All right, so that's it looks like it should be a good debate. October 17th. That's on KET at 8 o'clock. So keep that in mind. All right, thank you guys for watching. I appreciate all of you. Share this out, and I do have several more interviews coming up with candidates this month, so check that out. I already got 4 lined up, including a forum of judicial candidates at the end of the month. So, and I'm working on lining up more. So just check back if you want to know more about the people on your ballot. Until next time, always think critically.